Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 24th of May. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which didn't get up to our 2007 price channel top at 8,500, but I suppose 26 points away is close enough for some and small in the scheme of things. But what's more disappointing is that we've broken out of that rather steep March trend channel. 83.30 was the level there. We bounced off it twice, but then have failed today. Below 83.30 was the risk of 8,200. We've still got to factor that in. The positive would be if we could close back above 83.30 today, but maybe it's a bit too holiday-ish now for that to happen. On the upside, probably looking for 8,400 to break so that we have the starting gun and a potential new leg to the upside, and a rather unlikely looking 88.20 target at the top of that March trend channel by the end of next month or July, maybe to coincide with the general election date. Moving on to the DAX, and here you can see after days of trying to hold the area of 18,600, the market had a little bear trap below it so far, 18,500 the old peak area, and so we're bouncing off that, which is not too bad. Nightmare scenario here is that we have to test the floor of that rising trend channel from the end of September, 18,200, but might get away with that. Otherwise, looking for a decent end-of-day close through 18,800 recent resistance to give us a potential 19,400 target by the end of next month. RSI is still on the right side of 50, so maybe that suggests that the technical glass is still half full rather than half empty. Moving on to the Dow, and here our fear of a potential test of the 50-day line in the floor of that channel there looks as though it is not far off becoming true. Below that, we've got the potential gap fill at 38,300, which would be very disappointing. And we've also got the RSI now below neutral 50, which is not great. But the ideal scenario here is that we bounce off the 50-day line and the floor of that channel from September and then head back towards 40,000. The next contender is Bitcoin, which has also had a little bit of a wobble, let's say. Here you can see that 70,000 plus was a bit too much for it, but at least we are still finding support above that rising 50-day line, also the floor of that the rising trend channel from back in October. So call that 65,000, and above 65,000 still have a chance for the lower 70s, and the big picture target here, top of that rising trend channel from back in October, towards 87,000. I suppose the channel may be less steep than I've drawn, but obviously through 74,000, 80,000 plus should be on its way if we get there. On the downside, the worst case scenario would be that we have to test that February support line projection, 57,400, before heading higher again. Moving along to the stocks and starting off with Avation, which has made a comeback after many years in the wilderness. Perhaps the Boeing debacle at the moment is helping it out. Maybe others know more about the fundamentals than I do, but at least in terms of the charting, rising trend channel base there since the beginning of 2021. Top of the channel there, 155. If we get through that on an end-of-day close basis, then looking for 190, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of the gap floor there at £1.32. We're really lucky we'd stay on the right side of the initial May peak, 139, but allowing for the gap refill or fill there. It's the second gap higher in the month, and we already had a golden cross, so everything here looking rather strong and rather bullish. Onto a stock which I probably haven't covered enough, largely because it moves up a little bit every day, and so you don't really notice it on the big rises. Current situation at Afentra is that we've got a rising trend channel there from September, top of the channel there at 66 pence. Probably looking for that over the next couple of weeks, especially while we remain above the former May resistance at 57 pence. So still looking like a very strong situation. If you're a fan of the shares and think that 66 pence is not enough, then the line I'm drawing there from back in November through 70 pence could be the next target after that, maybe even for as soon as the end of June. Moving along to Bluebird Merchant Ventures, which has nearly hit our second target there, the second target there at 1.5 pence, and hopefully we'll do that over the next session or two. Above 1.5, then actually going straight to 2.5, which is basically, what's that, post-2022 resistance. That would also fill the gap there up to the 1.9 pence area, but above 1.5, looking for 2.5 by way of around 1.9 on Bluebird. Ideally, we stay on the right side of the recent bull flag floor of 1.2 pence. We're also trading in the aftermath of a golden cross, which was a couple of weeks ago, and very strong picture here, obviously, by definition. Onto a company which I interviewed yesterday, and here you can see the result. The share's up nearly 19%. We've hit our initial target there on critical metals, just shy of, around 6.8 pence. Next level up is the line I'm about to draw, which is basically the upper parallel of that first target, so towards 10 pence. Looking for that by the end of next month. And ideally we stay on the right side of resistance on the way down, which was 6 pence. So above 6, looking for 10 there on critical metals. Perhaps the copper price helping, as well as the interview yesterday. Moving on to Enwell, and here you can see that we've had a little breakout through resistance 20 pence. Still looking for up to 29 pence by the end of, now in this case by the end of next month, which is basically the top of that triangle there from the beginning of last year. Rather strange looking chart, obviously, with the period of absence that the company has, but gaps higher show a decent re-rate there, and hopefully we'll stay on the right side of recent support at 18 pence. Moving on to the next situation, and it's Genflow, which has gapped up. We were looking for a target here around 2.6 pence, which is the top of that falling trend channel from the, well, basically this time last year. That was in play once we broke that red line of resistance there from June last year, around 1.6 pence. So by 1.6, we were looking for 2.6. Next level up, obviously, the old peak from this time last year, so looking for 3.8 pence, hopefully by the end of next month or even sooner after the gap higher through the resistance line. The other point to note is that we're probably just a day or two away from a golden cross between the 50 and 200 day lines, and obviously that run up to the golden cross has worked for Genflow quite well. Upside valid, certainly while we're above the top of the gap, 2.3 pence on that situation. Good to see the next stock rising as well. Here we've got Katoro, and here the sizzle is provided not only by the V-shaped bull flag, as I call it, but also the way the 50 and 200 day lines are both rising. That means we're about a week or two away from a golden cross, and probably justified in looking for a 0.16 target, which has been our targets so far. The top of that rising trend channel from February. Next target up would be 0.22, and might get there by the end of next month, given that we are in the run up to the golden cross, typically the strongest part of the cycle. Great RNS today from Kinovo, and here we've had basically a bear trap island reversal, so gapping down in February and then gapping up twice for May, or April, May at least. But the 50 and 200 day lines both rising after the dead cross that we had back in April. That was a failed dead cross, which is bullish in its own right, and probably a few weeks away from a golden cross. The run up to that should at least give us the top of that broadening triangle there from back in August, as high as 73 pence by the end of next month. So yeah, great RNS and great looking setup there on the chart. On to possibly the falling knife, the token falling knife stock of the day, Live Company. Here looks like we've got rising trend channel base, and all that's missing is an end of day close above recent resistance at 0.65. That seems to be the magic number in terms of resistance. After that, obviously looking for the 50-day line 0.77, and as a best case scenario, 1.1 pence by the end of next month, although at the moment it's slightly difficult to work out what would do that. But the RSI's pushed through neutral 50, so a few factors there which are looking positive on that, even though I'm sure a few angels would fear to tread into that one. Still got a rising trend channel base here at Mosman, and here support above the 200-day line there at 0.18. Above that, still looking for 0.32 by the end of next month, and waiting for an acceleration in the price action. that may come when the 50-day line crosses above the 200-day moving average. On to a stock where it feels like we've been waiting years for this situation to turn around. Better picture here for Prospex in the sense that we bounced off or ricocheted off a rising 50-day line there at 5.3 pence. Hopefully that's the last time we are sub 5.5. Initial target here 6 3/4. Best case we're up to 8 pence by the end of next month. And let's see, after a lot of messy price action, whether the company can get its shares up there on time. Moving along to the last three. First one is another company that I interviewed with the interview coming out yesterday. Sort of a W-shaped bull flag there. We've got support above the rising 50-day line, which tends to be a good thing. And looking for our second target here at 14 pence. Hopefully by the end of this month, just a few days left, but maybe by the end of next week. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glories, then probably the line that I'm drawing at the moment, heading for the mid-20s, 22 pence, 23 pence, could be hit by the end of next month. But the key here, holding above the 8 to 9 pence area, the support area that the shares have achieved. We already had the golden cross backing the move. Another nice situation to look at is Synectics, and here steeply rising trend channel after a bear trap gap reversal back in December. That really was a starting gun on the move by breaking £1.28 in October. Resistance, and we've got that step fashion ascent here, which is probably the strongest pattern you can get. Shows that there's hardly any sellers around. Another gap there back in January, and top of the channel here up to £2.43. And looking for that by the end of next month or even sooner. Very nice rebound there above the 50-day line that we've had at the end of this week. Finishing off with another stock which gives one pleasure that it's recovering, and it's Zephyr. Here we've had our second target hit. Support above that now at 5.1 pence. Above that we're looking for the purple line there, 6.6 pence by the end of next month or even sooner. Obviously the main resistance area for the shares, 7 to 7.5 pence. And looks like we're on our way, especially after the golden cross that we had last month in the shares. That's it from me today. More updates over the weekend.